Also, oh, and it seems like they're already going to be starting. They've done the counter. We're going to be getting right into the run. I think they're both going to be using English. Not a lot of people are using Spanish yet. Also, we haven't tested like the language speed for PAL. Both of these runners are from Europe. I believe one's from Norway. Another one is from Wales. We're going to try to get to the beginning here. Hopefully, Ymui's stream isn't too choppy. I know she's been having some issues. We're just going to roll with it. So kind of a little bit of background on Isaia. He actually learned this game for the 12-hour challenge, which is a speedrunning challenge, where you're supposed to learn a category in less than 12 hours. You know, learning, doing your first run, and submitting it. It's really fun, and it's a pretty good way to eyeball what games you might want to run in the future. So originally Isaia can enter because we had a full, you know, roster. But yeah, I'm not sure who's ahead. I'm not sure. Using this audio, okay. I think one of our... Oh, actually, Isaia missing Splat Bomb skip. It's a little bit unfortunate. Has to recharge it. Oh, it misses it a second time. I believe Ymuy goes up the little platform on the left there. I haven't seen that before. And nails Splat Bomb skip pretty effortlessly there. And that can be kind of hard to align because, first of all, you have to have enough jump and height to even make that Splat Bomb, you know, throw in the first place. And now we're going to be exiting the tutorial section with the junior and going to another cutscene. But going back to the tournament thing, the tournament itself was full, but then one of them left because they didn't like how they couldn't talk while they were streaming. So he left, and then Isaia and I actually joined in his place. So yeah, Isaia is probably the newest player going into this tournament, but his first PB after learning the run was, I believe, a 1:34.19, which obviously your first time doesn't matter that much. It's more so to set a baseline, but if we're looking at objectively, like, leaderboard placement and overall, like, how decent is the time, it's a pretty decent time. With newer, in a race setting, there's a lot of expectations, you know, put on you. Yeah, I saw Ymuy was a bit nervous going into this, but with the right mentality, and as long as you practice enough and just try to, you know, focus more in the game, you might get better results than you're hoping for. I think Ymuy is ahead, so I'm gonna switch to her perspective. Some people will perform better with expectations, some people will perform worse. For me, I just like to play on the game, focus on the game, and really nothing much else. Because most of the time you are running without splits, so you can't see your pace, and you cannot reset, so it's basically whoever can perform better on average. Ymuy edging out with a slight lead here, going into the train section, because she nailed that Splat Bomb skip first try. If I make any mistakes, guys, of like the audio, just let me know. I'm still kind of new to this, but I think I switched to Yumuy's POV. Also, going back to the language speed thing, the language time save really only applies to the beginning and nowhere else. It's really strange because there's text, there's like mashing sections throughout the game, but the major time save isn't really present at all. This has been done with a lot of research, and it's only, yeah, it really only applies to the first split in the game, that being, you know, AO5 and the little junior section before that, so not a significant time save. I believe Japanese saves 4 seconds over English, so nothing really that significant, you know, compared to the first Splatoon game, where if you had Japanese, you would save 40 seconds in text speed. So right now we're going to be getting the first actual, you know, level or stage in this game. It's called AO5, Fake Plastic Station. You're going to be given the splatter shot with a Splat Bomb. And the unique thing about Octo expansion is that you're not given one weapon for the entire thing. You're given different weapons with no sub-weapon, or even or different sub-weapons and a different main weapon every time. And sometimes you're not even given a gun, and you just have to, you know, navigate with your Inkling. Isaia kind of taking an interesting line here. Ymuy not opting to go for the Splat Bomb kill there, which saves about 1 second, because when you think about it, the Splat Bomb is just going to be waiting there when the Octoling goes down, respawns down. Nice kill on the carbon from Ymuy, and really only walking forward, if you get decent shot RNG or the shot variance from your gun, is not that much slower, but you know, when you're going for minor time save in the beginning. Also, a little known fact, if you can actually ink through those doors. Oh, interesting. Ymuy is actually going for the beginner strat there. I haven't seen many people use that until recently when I made a tutorial on AO5. So there's a splashdown that you can pick up in the corner, and from the crate. And yes, you do waste a little of time trying to go over to it, and you're basically diverging from the straight path. But the consistent thing about the splashdown strat there is, because the enemy is dodge rolling down from a high precipice, and he's wearing a jetpack, and the jetpack can be kind of detrimental because he can be moving left and right. And it can be kind of, if you're not the best aimer in the world, it can be kind of hard. What the splashdown does is it basically one-shots the jetpack enemy when you're in a certain radius every time, and it's very consistent. It's a very consistent strategy, and definitely mitigates, you know, bad RNG any time of the week. I feel like Ymuy has been practicing that more recently. So now we're going to be seeing the first, I believe, the first route divergence. So I believe what Isaia does is, what they both do for the beginning a little bit is left side. But the difference is, Isaia goes up until the first 8-ball stage, just to get that out of the way. And then, once he completes the hard stage, he just sticks to the normal route of right side. So for the first couple of stages here, it's going to be pretty similar. This level, you control a giant hamster ball called a baller. You have to navigate, essentially these giant platforms in an empty void all the way to the end. Oh wow, he actually makes the jump there. So yeah, these people definitely feel really confident. Nice corner jump there from Ymuy. They're definitely feeling confident about the jumps, and honestly, as long as you don't die, you should be on cycle to make those jumps anyway. You notice the green pillar almost hit Isaia there because he wall-clanged a little bit on that ledge, so he was a bit late, but still able to make it regardless. Ooh, Isaia detonated a little bit too early on the down point there. Doesn't really matter too much, though, as Ymuy finishes up. As we both finish up, AO4 not really that far ahead of, you know, one another. Very close race so far. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback, GH. Alright, so now we're going into the first 8-ball stage of the game. This is one of the more harder levels, and definitely very hard for beginners to grasp. So you have to guide this 8-ball, which is a giant cue ball, essentially, through the stage. And it's very easy to... Oh, Ymuy actually taking a safety strat there, kind of killing both enemies to make sure her path is pretty clear. There's a lot of subtle mechanics with the 8-ball that people don't really necessarily understand until you get to a higher level. Ooh, Isaia almost, you know, knocking the 8-ball off there. I think he might gain a lead from this. Yeah, Ymuy is playing it super safe right now. It's probably gonna... Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Oh, no! They went under the stage! Oh, no! I think he could have triggered the checkpoint there, too. Oh my god! Are you kidding? It landed on the pillar. Can someone clip that? That's insane. So yeah, actually, it will go under the elevator there if you shoot the ball too early, but it actually perfectly landed on the pillar there. That was amazing. I've actually never seen that before in all my time in running this game. So yeah, Ymuy is surging ahead. So the key thing here is you see that seesaw on the right, so that functions off of a cycle. Ooh, Isaia taking another death. But luckily the checkpoint's right there, so it doesn't matter too much. Oh, actually, no, Isaia. I feel like Ymuy understands that she's in the lead, so she's actually taking the intended strat where you guide the ball up this elevator, and then you blast, then you get the key, unlock the cage. No! Oh, Ymuy dies with the intended strat, so due to all that setup, that didn't even matter. Oh man, both of them failing now. I don't even know what's going on right now. Ymuy going for the strat again. She is very confident that she can pull this off. So, like I was saying, so yeah, basically you guide the ball into that little ring, and then you get a key, and then the key unlocks a balloon or cage which has a balloon in it, and then the balloon blasts the ball. It blasts the ball onto the seesaw for you, so you don't have to do it manually. And that's what Isaia is attempting. He's not centering the ball when he gets the correct angle, because the ball is very dependent on your aim. If you shoot it a little bit too much to the right, it's going to go all the way right. Center is pretty important. Yeah, it doesn't seem like Isaia is getting the angle that he wants to. But Ymuy does get the intended strat second try there. So, execution being really important. I just had a brain fart there. Sorry. And that's the thing. So, Ymuy is one of the... I believe she's one of, like, 3 people. Oh, actually, that was a clutch recovery from Isaia there. It was just about to roll off the edge. But he jumped out a little bit to the right there. And actually corrected the ball's pathing to make it, not off-center. And sometimes that's what's just going to happen. A couple of bullets from the gun are just going to make the ball, like, fall offline. And it's having that game knowledge and the game awareness to micromanage like that, in the heat of the moment, is what separates the newbies, from the better players. And yeah, you're going to see that here. So Tones actually does this route, because BO1 killed a lot of his runs. The seesaw skip can be very hard if you don't get the angle correctly. And you just continue the route as normal. And now you do lose a little bit of menuing time with that. But if it's more consistent for you should probably do it. And to be honest, the route doesn't matter too much anyway. Ymuy blasting through the Rainmaker stage, it's relatively no issue. If you trigger any of the enemies too early, they'll start to throw splat bombs at you, and when you hold the Rainmaker, which is basically this giant grenade launcher, your mobility is severely slowed, and you can't really paint the ground as much as you would like to with like a splatter shot, which is like the basic P90 shooter that you have in this game. It can be very detrimental, as long as you take, that left side route and take the safer lines, you should be fine. And this is what kind of makes it hard to commentate, because I'm essentially seeing 2 different perspectives at once, and I'm not going to know who's ahead until they reach escape, because that's where their levels tend to come back a little bit more. So that shot can be kind of weird. You have to land, you have to shoot a cannon shot directly on that fan, so it'll go all the way down, because the platform only goes like towards mid, and if you shoot it any less, like if it's slightly off center, it's not going to go the full length, and you're going to die and just pretty much enter that gap. So something that you can do inside this stage, the Dually Sculpture stage that Ymuy is in currently right now, is you can do something called dodge rolling, which is kind of like, she's kind of doing that right now. And what dodge rolling does is skips you forward a little bit ahead of the auto scroller, that is the anchor rail, and oh no, unfortunately choking the very end there, but luckily the checkpoint respawns Ymuy pretty nicely, and she can correct on that mistake pretty easily. And dodge rolling optimally, if you do it like, as much as you can, it only saves about a couple of seconds. But, when you're on... And it can also be risky, because when you're dodge rolling, it's dependent on your camera position, like where you're tilting your camera and the analog stick. So, If it's off-center, like Ymuy did there near the end, you're just gonna dodge roll off into the void. Isaia attempting to go for ancient skip, which pretty much you need to get enough height. That was a good delayed first boost. Oh no! So that can happen. So if you're too high, if you don't delay the first boost, you will actually touch the death plane, which is above the checkpoint. Isaia going for it again. I'm not sure if this is faster. If you get this first try, I believe it's 5 seconds faster if you get the death warp first try. But he gets it there. The key is just maintain that height and not touching any of the invisible death planes like he did right there. Oh, interesting. So I think Ymuy is going for the inferior weapon choice here. Probably doesn't believe in her tracking as much as other people. And the more optimal weapon here is the Jet Squelcher, because you have more ink. Oh, unfortunately, hitting failable in there, so gonna lag behind a tiny bit. And again, you can't die too many times on a certain stage because every stage costs a certain amount of credits to enter. So if you die, a bunch of times in the stage, one life a set, it's 500 to death to play it again. You're gonna be out, and you have to grind those credits again. So I can understand if you're not confident in certain, aim ability stages like these. If you're not necessarily confident, you might want to play it a bit safer. So, on Isaiah's perspective, we're going to be getting into the second 8-ball stage in this run. It's on right side, known as CO3. And for this, there's no cycle that you have to meet. This one prioritizes movement and, tracking the 8-ball even more heavily because there's several bouncy walls scattered throughout the stage, and if you accidentally bounce the 8-ball on the bouncy wall, it will send it forward. It will send it a certain direction forward at a very high velocity, and this can be both good or bad, depending on which direction it's being held. Isaia having a really solid start so far. Now, in particular, with the bouncy walls that I mentioned, the entire last section of this stage is just a bunch of bouncy walls. It entirely encloses the arena, and like you see there, if it hits the bouncy wall, it's very hard to stop. You basically have to bonk your hitbox in front of the ball to entirely stop it. He actually gets it there. Oh, very good ending there. Barely gets it under. Is he going to hit the... Oh, and he gets it. Nice backup there from Isaia, because, yeah, if you can't stop the ball there immediately, it can be a very big time loss for sure. I think Ymuy died twice there. I was trying to look at two different perspectives there. Now, another weapon decision that actually has less of an impact is this stage. I think it's called GO4. Yeah, so Junior is faster than Charger, which is the more optimal weapon for this stage. Besides being able to quickly zip up those, roll-ups, like you see there, how you get across the stage. Junior does that a little bit slower, but it has it's basically faster in every other regard. It inks faster, it moves faster, it burns through those enemies quicker. But when you're actually trying to get across the stage, you definitely have to consider those burst bombs, being able to just one-shot the roll-ups and get across effortlessly. Maybe I can... Oh, wow, that was a really close call. And that's the thing with the limited ink stage. If you hold the shoot button too much, you are going to... you're basically gonna run out of ink and have to restart from the beginning. And it's indicated by color range, so green is a lot. I think purple is a lot, yellow is like medium, and then red is, you need to finish or else you're going to die. Isaia actually entering the previous stage uses it, and this happens if you spam the A button too much and if you don't move up inside the menu. Also, if I'm not explaining what Octo expansion is, I assume the returning viewers are at least somewhat familiar what this is and what this tournament, what this category is. But for anyone unfamiliar, this is Octo Expansion. It's the single-player DLC for Splatoon 2, a third-person shooter platformer that has both a multiplayer and online component for the Nintendo Switch. It's a very fun speedrun and a very fun experience. Multiplayer-wise, I would highly recommend it for anyone that wants to try it out. Octo Expansion especially, is a very an amazing experience casually, filled with a lot of content. That'll definitely keep you busy. Hopefully I explained that adequately. When your voice gets hoarse, drink some water. Stay hydrated, as the kids say. So yeah, right there, Ymuy got the first thing, or one of the 4 collectibles inside the beginning of any percent, which you need to unlock the final section of the game, which is escape, where you kind of, make the action movie-esque escape to the surface. Now, right after... Oh, actually, he misses the ink tank there, so he's not going to have enough ink for a curling bomb. I'm not sure if he'll have enough time towards the end, because the stage that Isaia is on right now is on a timer, and you need to destroy the final crate within a certain amount of time. Now, you're given probably the most leeway with Octorush, because it has the most average mobility. It has a lot of good damage, barely making it. The reason the developers put that ink tank there in the first place is because you normally run out of ink when you're brush running for that long. So you can just throw a curling bomb across the ground, which is basically like this. I don't even know what you would equate it to in a normal shooter. I don't know if there is an equivalent, because yeah, Splatoon is a very movement heavy game. It's not as like a lot of there's really no movement tech in this game compared to something like Quake. But the whole ink mechanic, because you can swim in the ink, it's your ammo. You can use it as a movement tool. It's very multifaceted and creates a lot of interesting situations with 1v1s and team fights and stuff like that. Now we're going to be getting into Girl Power, which is pretty infamous among casuals, because a lot of people don't really understand that the enemies spawn in a predictive timer, and once you learn, where they spawn relative to you, it is definitely easier. And you're going to be noticing he throws out a splat bomb there immediately when both those enemies spawn. Isaia losing his armor, and you can actually shoot these enemies a couple of times, as they're sitting there waiting to spawn. You can trigger them earlier, which makes waiting for the next wave, which I think this bucket guy spawns at the 45-second mark, right? Yeah, he does. Which definitely makes that a lot easier. So you can just leave a splat bomb there, and get in his merry way. So while he's doing that, I'm gonna try to explain what stage Ymuy is on. So Ymuy is on the damageless stage. So the gimmick of this is that you cannot take any damage from enemy ink, whether this be from an enemy bullet, on the ground. Your body cannot touch the green ink, pretty much. And the checkpoints are not... all the checkpoints in the stage are not friendly at all. And when you take damage, you get that small animation of getting hit, and then Sea Cucumber, the train conductor, tells you, oh, test failed. It's kind of Monka-esque. Getting through the... Oh, wow, actually getting hit by the bullet during the substrape to pick up the key, that can happen. You can easily mitigate that by staying in a certain place, by staying in place for about a second or two, and then moving, because the enemy won't know where you are. You can kind of, AI manipulate them a little bit. Oh, interesting. So Isaia, actually, I'm surprised he's going for Rapidity. I think he feels confident. So this is probably one of the hardest stages in the run, or it's up there. It's called Matchmaster, and there's a giant stage, or there's a giant statue on the left and on the right, And for the statue on the right, you have to make it look like the statue on the left, and you have to destroy all of these orange crates to make it resemble the statue on the left. Now, why the Rapid is faster than the Squeezer, which is the second best weapon for the stage, is you notice the Rapid is able to hit all of these collateral shots, or hitting multiple groups of boxes at once, fairly easily. And you forgot to hit that crate there. This corner shot can be really weird. You have to hit the bottom right of that corner crate, and then hit the top left, because when you hit the bottom right corner shot, it inks the crate on the right. So you can't hit it again, otherwise it will become really weak. Isaia actually flying through the stage. I'm surprised. He's definitely put a lot of work into his shots and overall positioning. Now, with that corner shot, if he shot, say, a little bit more to the left, he would have hit the crate next to it. And it's constant micromanaging, right? You can say this about anything, but this stage especially, there's not a lot of leeway, per se, as you would get with Squeezer, which is like the base shooter gun. Ooh, that was really close. If you shot a little bit more up there, it definitely would have been over. Ymuy finishing up left side. I think that's the last. Yeah, it's the last level before left side ends. Oh yeah, Isaia. He forgot that crate in the bottom right. I think he just realized he has that, then the one in front, and then he's done. Now, I feel like people are learning Rapid for this stage, because for one, it saves a lot of time. I think it saves a minute and a half over the Squeezer route, or the Squeezer weapon of choice. And also, the worrisome thing is, when you die, there's no checkpoint. You physically have to get a key and activate that checkpoint to save your progress, of where you are on the statue, but Isaia getting through that no problem. And we're going to be getting to the first thing for him, and the first thing for Ymuy, so hopefully that'll sync up a little bit. They're taking some of the toughest casual stages. Rapid is... What's up, Michael? Haven't seen you run New Game Plus. You should run it again. Yeah, definitely. I think everyone in the top 15 or so uses Rapid. I think only one person hasn't learned Rapid yet, but that's more so out of laziness. Yeah, as long as you have some patience, it should be fine. So this is the only boss fight that we fight in any This is the only boss stage that we fight in any percent. If anyone remembers Hero Mode, the normal single player for this game, you do the stage with the charger. Like the first time you fight it with the level 1 charger, you fight it with that. But here you only need you were given a really good phase 1 from Isaia. You were given an Inkjet, which is a special from the multiplayer. And you have to get these tentacles on the top of his head. Now, I'm not sure how practiced he is with the quick kill. I don't think we're going to see that quite yet in a tournament until we get to the later brackets, into the latter part of the bracket. We get to the more top seeds, them going for quick kill. Fortunately, aiming a little bit too low there to catch, and that wasn't even too high. That was too early. So you can catch the weak spot on the top of the on top of the boss when he's charging. So he's gonna try to attempt it here. Ooh, that was really close. I feel like that was too late. Yeah, Matchmaster especially is definitely something to watch at a high level, because casually you're so frustrated. And you see some guy who's grinding the stage for hours upon hours, just kind of blaze through like it's nothing. It's very It's definitely a sense of euphoria you don't really get with anything else. So yeah, mostly this is what the beginner strat comes down to. Oh wow, so he actually gets the rare collateral there. So if two of the... Nice phase 3. So with the two... If two weak spots, or the tentacles, are like half inked, and you fire one shot close enough so it hits both of them, it'll actually destroy both collaterals, possibly saving a charge cycle, which is what happened there. And yeah, for the more newer people to this tournament, generally it's what we're going to be seeing, kind of waiting different charge cycles and trying to hit his weak spot as he's charging forward. The quick kill basically tries to get all 4 tentacles before the first charge cycle, which is pretty punishing. If you miss it, it loses about 10, because then you're waiting for the second one. Yeah, now I'm interested to see if Ymuy will pull off the ancient skip first try. It's definitely one of the skips that saves less time comparatively to other tricks in the run. I feel like it's a little bit too low. Yeah, she was too low. Delaying the first boost is really important. Yeah, I don't think I finished my tangent about... Yeah, and Ymuy is definitely playing it smart. So if you miss ancient skip, it's really bad to go for it again, because when you respawn, the cycle is off. Oh no, not having enough height to go over the gap there. Makes it that time. Yeah, because when you respawn, the platform to make ancient skip possible, where you stay on that pedestal, it's on a different cycle when you respawn from the death. So going through it again is pretty foolish. And taking the casual route is pretty smart play. So this stage is called JO4, and there's a series of 9 enemies that you have to kill, or 8 in the beginning, then 2 at the end. And the 2 final enemies trigger, or their spawn AI trigger, when you kill all 8 of those enemies. Gets the first guy. Nice. Nice. And both of them send out a bunch of, like, missiles towards the ground. So if you're standing on a destructible crate, when those missiles are going down, if you run out of bank or you're too slow, you're gonna fall down to your death. And it's very much timing based. Final stage on right side for Isaia. I'm very interested to see if he'll go for the skip here. This is probably the biggest skip in Octo expansion. Well, biggest skip not in terms of notoriety, but in terms of time save. You're gonna see it towards the end, and if he is going for it, I will try to explain it. Yeah, one of the secondary, dually squelcher stages at 8%, going for all those dodge rolls, all the time save. Because think about it, when you're dodge rolling, you're skipping forward a little bit at a time, so you're kind of speeding up that auto-scroller process. And it seems like he will be going for it and does not get it first try. So, pretty much how that skip works is it skips this entire first, like the entire bottom section of the rails. Like the ring, not the ring, but like the tower of rails. And it automatically lets you get to the top here. And pretty much at the crest of the hill, you hold upright. And then you do a full jump, so you get more height. And if you get a first try, it's really, really big. Oh wow, really good CO3 from Ymuy. I did not see a death there from the edge of my peripheral vision. That stage can be a butt muncher, for sure. Where's my water? Awesome. Okay, so now, yeah, I was gonna go more in depth into the limited ink stage. Yeah, because pulling the ZR button for too long here is often a detriment, especially if you jump. Because if you jump with this gun, it increases the shot RNG, and it makes pinning a wall or simply trying to go across the ground very difficult and inconsistent. So you generally want to start shooting when you're already on the ground or after the apex of your jump. This will decrease the likelihood of, you know, super horrible shot RNG occurring. Isaia now starting to do left side after having finishing up right side pretty nicely. I'm not sure if either of them are on PB pace. I think they don't have splits for this race, because that's another key difference. Time ends for this tournament a little bit earlier than the category officially ends, because the last section of the game is a giant auto-scroller. It's a 6-minute long cutscene and then a 3-minute auto-scroller, which is like the most basic version of a boss fight that you could possibly imagine. And at that point, the race is already decided, unless you die in the final boss, obviously, but no one's going to die in the final boss. So. But yeah, generally, the higher risk there is of a strat, the less likely you are to go for it. Especially in a setting like this, where you can't... Going for it again is extremely, extremely risky. Nice. That stage can be kind of weird. So that stage is on a global timer, the break the target stage that Ymuy used to do with the jet squelcher. And you have to menu to the jet really quickly in the beginning, and then hit all those crates on a certain pattern as they're coming in. And it's a bit easier with the jet, because when you reach the top, it's not as bad, because you can kind of just hit all of the crates from the top, you know, as they're circling from the bottom, but that can waste up to 20 seconds pretty easily, so. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like Ymuy has a pretty sizable lead, because, yeah, she did finish left side, and then there's just this, then the divergence off of right side. So, that's another thing. With right side, it's not a straight line. After you complete Grow Power, you either have the option to go up or to go down. If you go up, you do Match Master and the Ancient Boss Fight. If you go down, you do the Ten Umbrella stage, JO4, and then JO5. The Dually Squelcher stage for right side in any percent. So, that's just another, you know, nice little option for people, you know, if they want to get the harder stages out of the way first. It's definitely nice. Also, when you get a thing, if you haven't noticed, you reset to the beginning of the map. So that can happen. If you don't, yeah, so that's anyway. If you don't have enough momentum for the boost pad there, like Isaia is getting, you will not sail across the boost pads in time. So definitely try to have a bit of momentum. It's weird that he tried to dodge roll on the wall there. I've done some testing, and I think the dodge roll mechanics, like how you interact with walls, is very much different from hero mode, because in hero mode you can, you know, dodge roll on a wall and there's no issue. But here it doesn't seem to work, so maybe there's different parameters there that I'm not aware of. Okay. So I got going. Yeah, yeah, if you're not proud of... I agree. If you're not proud of your time, per se, and you're not familiar with the category, because how I view it is, if you haven't played something casually first before you speedrun it, you'll generally have more inexperience as a result. So yeah, Isaia picking kind of the faster option for Geo5 here. And you'll see that the Jet has a lot more flexibility with being able to switch targets and reach its max range a lot quicker, so they can hit those crates in the back a little bit easier. Immediately hitting the fail balloon in the beginning there. Not as costly of a death though, because he does this, you know, in the latter half of the run, so he has about 12,500 credits roughly to burn through, you know, and with mistakes he can make, I believe, 3 to 2 bullets from the Jet Sculpture will instantly delete one of these fail balloons, and you know, if you do, it's test failed from there. Actually, not doing the DA route, getting rid of Matchmaster. Yeah, because if you do the Death Abuse route, which is the route that you do in any % Death Abusing is banned in this tournament, by the way, if anyone is not familiar with that. It is a mechanic inside the game where if you die a certain amount of times, and if you pay enough money, Arena and Pearl will let you skip that stage, and it fundamentally changes any %, especially Escape, considering you can pretty much skip the entirety of Escape, and skip all those cutscenes and all of that gameplay, or the unskippable cutscenes. So yeah, mostly everyone in this tournament is using Rapid for the stage, but Ymuy opting to go for the slower option. Maybe not necessarily out of want, but kind of the same with Aeon in that they haven't learned Rapid yet. And in some ways, Squeezer carries more risk, because if you're like really far in into a Squeezer run for a Matchmaster and you don't pick up the checkpoint, you will have a further incurred time loss as a result. You know, because the Squeezer route takes roughly a minute to a minute and a half longer, depending on what route you use throughout the stage and your overall level of execution. So there's definitely a little bit of a trade-off there. And you notice Isaiah is kind of throwing a lot of burst bombs at the zip-up, the Relonium there. This instantly extends the Relonium to max length, so you can just kind of start going, because with the Junior, you're shooting for several more frames to make it go to that max length. Kind of an interesting tidbit. And yeah, Charger definitely does take a lot of skill to perform optimally than Junior, because most beginners are using Junior. Anyway, almost finishing up Matchmaster here. Now, the Squeezer is a gun where if you tap the button, it reaches its max range faster, and it's these single bullets that travel throughout the air. And if you hold the button, it's it switches to the auto fire mode. So it's 2 different like modes of fire, like the burst, and then the single fire or tap shot. The hold fire, it takes less ink overall, but it's a lot more uncontrolled than tap shot is. But you can control like your tap shots a lot more, but it requires more. Yeah, it requires. It takes out more of your ink tank pretty much, because you can't recover ink when you're staying on a crate, right? So it can be kind of strange. Seems to finishing. Both players seem to be having a pretty nice time with Matchmaster so far. Ymuy only has to get the top before they are done. And generally with hold fire, you want to be utilizing that fire option when there's groups of boxes. With the more single boxes like this, it's extremely risky, because you have the risk of some of the bullets. Oh wow, that's a really bad death in the beginning. There's no checkpoints for the stage that Isaiah is currently in, Isle 5. no checkpoints at all, and you're basically hovering over thin air. So if you even touch or miss the time of jump too early, touch one of those green wheels, you will be donezo. Wow, Ymuy actually not taking the checkpoint there. I'm actually kind of proud of her, because, you know, from what I've watched her stream, she's always taking the checkpoint, because, you know, being afraid of losing. But as long as you take it nice and slow, and, you know, being confident in your strat is also another important thing. You know, because you can have, you know, the best skill in the world, but, you know, in practice, but if you're not confident in what you're doing, the mentality can just as much affect your level of play, more so than your play itself. That mental barrier, the mental fortitude is definitely really important in speedrunning and just anything in general, right? It's definitely really important. So yeah, I think Isaia might be ahead, so I'm gonna switch to him for his audio. Yeah, cause it said in the screen like 3 things obtained, and then for Ymuy, she's on the 3rd thing, and Isaiah's on the 4th, or, you know, starting to get the 4th. Oh no! I think he didn't go... Yeah, he didn't go down on right side, because I saw that was still red. So I will change that if necessary, but sometimes having a switch of audio like a switch of audio, can be definitely more pleasant for the viewers. Very good phase 1. Let's see how Isaia approaches the damageless stage. Using the Squiffer, the Tenna can be more, a bit easier because you do have that shield to cover the ground and block all incoming enemy fire. So if you don't have the best positioning in the world, the Tenna Relic can definitely mitigate that. Oh wow, actually not taking any damage there at all. Misjudging the ink on the wall. Both of them dying at the same time there. That was kind of funny. Gotta pause, there might be a little bit of lag. I forgot that you have to pause every 30 minutes when you're doing this, because I am watching through a Flash player for the restream, so there can be a tiny bit of misfire. Or not misfire, but general like the distance between both streams are kind of off sync. And when you take too much damage in this game, you get into this broken armor state, even if you don't have armor. So it's kind of like a recovery mechanic, like in a fighting game. And if you wait long enough for yourself to recover being shot, you won't have like the red frames on your body and be able to start moving again. But when you're in the inkjet, when you're in that damaged state, it's really bad, because mobility is so important with any sort of inkjet plays, and in this boss fight, it's extremely detrimental when one of those missile guys just slap you right in the face. Ymuy really abusing the pillars, which is definitely a key strat for this fight. I think... Wasn't sure if... Oh no, actually missing that. So yeah, like I mentioned with IO4 before, the checkpoint for here starts there, and it doesn't begin until the top of this platform that's coming up. So yeah, again, misjudging that there was ink under his ground based on the cycle from the sweeper there. Because that sweeper, the sweeper will pretty much ink the ground, or re-ink the ground that you already inked. So if it's down, you need to go immediately. If it's up, or if it's moving up, you need to ink the ground again when you throw down one of the curlings. And unfortunately, mistiming that again, so it's going to send it back 1,000 more credits. And Ymuy did have a death on the ancient boss fight there, but I believe all the deaths that Isaia has had on this stage so far is pretty much widened the gap. Even though Ymuy has definitely used some slower weapon options on X amount of stages. That's definitely really important. Because you can use all the hard strats that you want, but if you're not good at those hard strats, or if you're not good at the rest of the game and only get it X amount, wow, that we have an F in the chat for that. Man, that was so. All the enemies are dead, but he stepped on a little puddle of ink, I think, from the bullet as that guy died. So that was kind of. Don't think he noticed. Yeah, I don't think he noticed that bullet until the very end. So rest in peace. Making sure the ground is fully inked before he jumps. That's gonna be the end of IO4. So, kind of an interesting tidbit. So, when you collect 3 things, Captain Cuttlefish, or your kind of advisor, the old guy figure, kind of asks you what the second boss fight for this run is going to look like, but obviously we don't want to choose that, because it wastes menuing, like, frames, so... So yeah, now they're only about a couple of stages away from getting the 4th thing, I believe. So, also, I didn't mention this stage because it's kind of self-explanatory, but for everyone who was wondering, so this kind of has the same gimmick as Growth Power. You have to protect a power core from all these missile guys. So the small missile guys can be pretty much deleted from any missile shot on its hitbox, but the big blunt guys, if you've ever played hero mode, those big blimp guys are also there, but here they're kind of sanitized, or it's like the more evil version of the blimps. They can only be destroyed if you hit the top of their hitbox, so you need to be sure to have pretty decent tracking, because the big guys definitely do way more damage comparatively to... deal way more damage to the power core than, say, the little guys, because, yeah, you can see, like, 3 of them hitting the power core, and it's nothing. Like, it's pretty much nothing, you know, all the way in the yellow, because, yeah, all it takes is 3 to 2 of those blimp guys, and it's all over. But, yeah, Octo Expansion is definitely... It's not the hardest speed game out there. There's definitely harder ones out there, if we're trying to talk somewhat objectivity. But Escape is where a lot of stuff can happen, because Escape, you cannot skip the cutscenes. A death there is really bad, because every time you die, the game kind of freaks out and says, no, you died. So it gives you that text. There's a long fade-out screen. See if Ymuy gets this first try. Yes, she does, and able to get that skip first try and a squid bag in Celebration. So yeah, immediately, if you get that skip, it's really good, because you can skip that entire bomb section, you just go straight to the end. And you have to be really careful, because that green pillar thing will definitely get in your way, and it can be very detrimental. See, I think Isaia is definitely... He's barely in the lead right now. Very interesting. It's kind of harder to identify, like, who's ahead if they use different routes. So if I misjudge that, I apologize. Yeah, objectively, yeah, I think Ymuy is only one stage away from getting the 4th thing and being in the long cutscene. So, yeah, now we're going to start Escape, which is a series of 7 gauntlets, each with a different gimmick. And one thing to note here is that in Escape, there's, at least every stage, there's some form of a cycle that you have to obtain. Or kind of meet to not, seriously be behind. Phase 3 is really notable of this. think if you die in phase 3, you have to die again to reset the cycle, because that's how bad it can be. And definitely with escape, we've seen this in a couple of races previously. Runners are pretty close, and then someone hasn't practiced escape, and then the other guy just surges ahead. So this could change really drastically for both runners if they're not careful. Definitely the hardest part of the game. Isaiah talking in the chat as he's running. That is big brain. Actually, big brain. So yeah, nothing much to say right now. It's a fairly long, it's not a super long cutscene, but still pretty decent length until we get to phase 1. And you're going to notice for phase 1, we don't have a weapon. This is because we have to retrieve the weapon in phase 2. So the entirety of phase 1, we do not have a sub-weapon or even a gun. So you're basically, your only options are jumping and swimming, and that's it. And the theme of the stage of the theme of the Coccyx stage is kind of stealth. So you cannot get seen by any enemy based on what their cycle is. You cannot get seen by them. Because I think if you get seen by one of them, you'll get lasered first of all, which will severely limit your mobility. And 2, in some areas, if you get seen, a bunch of little robots will spawn and they'll start chasing you. So it can be it can be really bad. This section is also really bad. I've gotten lasered here right at the end before from all of the shot RNG. It's really rare, but it can happen. Also, you can sometimes get lasered. Lasered referring to all of the shots hitting. If you go a little bit too early there, the peripheral vision of the enemy will notice you. Isaiah actually playing it safe there, which I don't blame him for, because you can actually make it past that cycle, but you have to time your jump. Actually, not being used to the cycle there, so now he's fine. All he has to do is kind of wait until he regains his armor and can start moving again. Yeah, you can make that first enemy cycle. It's just you have to time your jump really early, because if you time your jump too late, the bullet will basically be on a trajectory to bop you or boop you out of the air. And we're going to be waiting for the rotating pizza sliders to guide us towards the end. Also, yes, if anyone's wondering, this is my second time commentating, and I don't have a co-commentator. I think it's because everyone's more so busy rather than commentating with me. So, because I can do solo commentary, but it's definitely a little bit harder. So hopefully when I commentate next time, there's a bit more energy. A tiny bit more energy. So you're seeing this right now, and another issue is when they see you, they're going to ink a ton on the ground. So that death might actually, if he dies again, yeah, because Ymuy is literally right behind right now. It's probably about only a 5 seconds difference, I believe. All it takes is one mistake. Even out the gap. Oh, there you go. Waits too long and has to win the wall. Actually taking it really, really safe right now. Really smart backup play from Isaia here. Waiting. Oh, no! And Ymuy is actually going to take the lead, barely. And that's going to be... It's going to be the lead for Ymuy. Wow, I'm actually really surprised by that. think I switched the audio. Sub-hour mark for... Or not sub-hour mark for... Around the hour mark for both runners. So yeah, now that we've gone through that, we're going to get to Phase 2. So for Phase 2, we need 2 different items to complete the stage. We need the Slap Bomb, which we get on left side, and then we go to right side to pick up the Octo Shot, hit the switch on the door, and then we are home free. So to get that key, you have to make the Octo Stomp guy, hit the Pyramid of Crates, and then take a line back, and unlock the cage to go through this missile simulator section. Now, it's kind of weird is you can jump, because what they're doing right now is pretty safe. It's just going in a straight line and following the ink lines. But what you can do is, when there's like a corner intersection, you can like jump between the corner of like two intersecting ink rails. You can save a little bit of time and save a little bit of time on the auto scroller. You pretty much never see that, but I think Hash Rice does that. He was like one of the first people to like really start incorporating those corner jumps in the Slap Bomb section. And you notice how the stage design is kind of reminiscent of what you have. So you can only have a Slap Bomb, so you have to throw a Slap Bomb inside these, or next to these fans, so you can jump across the gap. But what, I don't know, all the little things about Octo Expansion I definitely enjoy. You see this a lot with the level design in the latter half of the game. Or not the latter half of the game, but in all missions, so it's not just any percent, you know, the levels that you beat to unlock the secret boss fight, which is Iteration 3 for anyone who didn't know. I thought that was kind of cool. Or how Agent 8 kind of looks at... They look at the CQ-80 when you're making a decision to go to, you know, whatever stage. Think took a little bit to load. Yeah, now I think Isaia is barely ahead, or that might be the streamline. See, I'm not too sure. And that's the thing I keep forgetting. Each phase has I think a Latin name, or a name pertaining to what part of it you're in. But I tend not to remember it as much because it's the names are generally too long to remember. So this is why I mentioned in the past, this stage is all about cycles, and it's really bad if you die, because for one, if you die, there is pretty much a giant pool of water beneath, and you get the drowning animation and the law and death animation. They usually get an escape anyway, so it's a double whammy. And you're waiting for the falling block cycle in this next part of the stage. Definitely the most common deaths are when you're trying to jump across like a gap between two blocks, and then you aren't able to ink your feet because of either shot RNG or you're not paying attention. That sucks all your mobility, so you're just gonna fall off and take the L. Wow, whoa, I thought he was gonna make that. So I think he had the wall clean there, but the green guys... Yeah, because he actually got ahead of the green guys when he made the jump. I think he released back on the control stick just a little bit too much, and he actually buffered his way into the center of the saucer there. So yeah, luckily, his movement in the beginning was pretty decent. So he's not going to take too much of a time loss. I'm not sure if he's aware if you die here, you have to die at the beginning of the final section because the blocks will not be underneath you, so probably going to see a death here unless he looks beneath. See a little bit of a hashtag game knowledge for any of you people wanting to speedrun this game. And yeah, he doesn't, and again, like, he's only done a run, like, he did his first run, what, a week ago? Or less than a week ago, so you'll learn these things as you go. And yeah, once you die, it's just reset for you, and it's not too bad. So that was kind of more of an unintentional death, I guess. So yeah, because of that unintentional death, he is pretty decently ahead, about 30 seconds, I would say. Phase 4 is the shortest. It's essentially a giant laser sequence that you have to navigate through. You have to go over a wall to avoid the lasers, jumping through the lasers. And sometimes the holes you're jumping through is a very thin, like, gap or hole. So, yeah, too much of an early jump there. Kind of cementing his defeat. And interestingly enough, it's not optimal to die here, because if you can get through this stage without dying and make the correct cycles, it's short enough to the point where, because there is like a fast death abuse in the stage, like where you respawn from a checkpoint and just die repeatedly. But by the time you get to that and start like dying repeatedly, you'll already be done. So this is notably the only stage in Death Abuse any % where you actually play it out. So he goes to the center. Yeah, he's actually confident enough to go through the center. Yeah, I've seen some people, they actually go on top of the wall there. They go on top of the wall over the lasers, but Isaia only having a death in Phase 4 so far. And now we're going to be moving on to Phase 5, so knowing the route, this is the last stage in the game where knowing the route can be very beneficial into completing it in a decent amount of time. There's a giant tower, and there's several data points scattered on this tower. And wait, what am I saying? And you have to collect 8 of these data points to go by into Phase 6. And you're using the inkjets, so it's very movement intensive. You can fall off really easily. And you just completely lose your frame of mind. You're making it across a ton of gaps. It can be very strange. That if you miss the fast climb there, missing the anchor rail climb is even worse, because you essentially have no backup and you have to do the same route that you did before. And by the end, you are trying to make a cycle, which you'll kind of see it there when he's at the Cypher Pit. If you looked ahead of him, it's basically the data point on a rotating wheel. Yeah. So okay. So yeah. So for what I've seen, I think Isaia understands the route. Wow, kind of a weird. Actually collects the data point. Oh, the Badamp strat there. Yeah, because I remember Badamp went for that in the tournament, and he choked twice trying to hand the wall. But he was so far ahead of Brand that it didn't necessarily matter that he died. So yeah, this is yeah, unless Isaia makes a ton of mistakes in 6 or 7, this might cement himself the victory. I'm not trying to say that to be, like, you know, smug or anything, but it's necessary. Like, game knowledge is very important. If you don't understand the route, it can turn a close race like this into a somewhat of a landslide. But, you know, it's not over until they say it's over. Practice can definitely go a long way. Hopefully Ymuy can get the rest of the data points without dying. Because I've definitely died here before, and feels bad, man. Phase 6, the last hard stage of the game. You're guiding a power core that you get from the elevator all the way to the end. Well, actually, that might be really bad, because, yeah, if enough bullets hit the power core... Oh, yeah, it's really bad. You might actually have to wait for the missile cycle here. Yeah, if any bullets hit... if any bullets hit the power core, it'll pretty much explode, and you respawn from the last checkpoint. Unfortunately, I was not aware of the green saucer cycles there, and pretty much gets lasered, but that death isn't too horrible. You might finishing up Phase 5. Very nice. Because, I don't know, certain racers, they'll watch the other perspective just to see how far they are ahead, or how far their opponent is ahead, to see what kind of strats they can go for. Because some people will do, like, really safe strats if they're really far ahead, or they'll just keep going. We're definitely going to try to disallow sandbagging as much as possible, because it can be kind of disrespectful for the viewers and for your opponent. Because, yeah. Oh, actually not going for the laser bird strat there. So, oh. Nice. Aware that the ball was going to be at the middle of the pipeline there, so he waited. Yeah, because when it's in the middle of the pipeline, it's always going to hit the ball, because it's going to follow the platform at that point. So, I don't think I mentioned this, but time ends in this version of this category when the Agent 3 defeated text appears, and that's the other boss fight in this run, but you don't fight them until Phase 7. Pretty nice Phase 6 from Isaia. Really close call at the beginning there. I thought he was going to die for sure. One more bullet would have done it. Another close race. Which is definitely, you know, awesome. Oh no, Ymuy taking a death. And the missile exploded as she died. That's... oof. You can make it to the surface. So, if the runner wants, they can complete the game as a consolation prize for the viewers. But at that point, we're going to have an interview anyway. So... So yeah, in the context of this, the category for this tournament, it's... this will be the final section. So, before the fight, you're just going to give it basically a giant prep talk from the crew. You're going to have an opportunity to paint the map, so... Generally, with Inner Agent 3 or Agent 3, this is a general tip. Having map control and not, trying to shoot her or Agent 3 in general in a straight line can be very, very helpful because, map control is relative to how much positional influence you have. Isaia nicely painting the entire map there. We're going to be getting, I think... If I switch the audio there for a second. Sometimes you misclick, Yeah, comparatively to Inner, this version of Agent 3 is much, much simpler. So yeah, first phase, she's just... Agent 3 is just gonna splash down. He throws a bomb down there, because if Agent 3 rolls into the bomb does a little bit of extra damage, and it helps mitigate the shot RNG by basically putting them at half health, or they've even done anything. Jumps down, ballers. Your goal is to hit the baller as you are... as it's jumping in. Yeah, for that phase, just throw a bomb and two-shot the Stingray, and then you're good. 3 jumps here. For 3 splashdown jumps. That's going to be the end of the race for Isaia. Isaiah's your winner with a 1:15.37, I think. That was a little bit of a late split. And Isaia is your winner. Barely. I feel like the momentum shift there definitely happened after phase 5. And even if... And I think that's done. Congrats to Isaia. I think he's going to finish this one out. Ymuy finishing up phase 6 with about 3 to 4 deaths. But the important thing is definitely finishing. More than anything. Because, yeah, I know for her at least, this is like her first current race. So, I can't even imagine the nerves that are happening right now. That's in the air. Yeah, because little things like, throwing a bomb down to kind of make lasering in a bit easier. Going on top of the pillar for the Stinger kill. These are like the small things, like the subtle things, which separate runners, for sure. So I think after Ymuy finishes, we're gonna get a post-race interview and kind of talk about the match or the race itself. And I'm really bad at interviewing guys, so it's... when I think of questions, I'm thinking of them on the fly, right? That's how I am. I think this is this is a huge PB for Isaia. Nice phase 1 from Ymuy. Yeah, because if you didn't know, with phase 1, it's... If you don't kill Agent 3 fast enough, they'll start sending a curling bomb launcher, which really doesn't do anything, but it's pretty, all that chip damage can be pretty not helpful. Kind of hiding behind the pillar here to get a bit of tack a bit of extra damage onto Agent 3. And a third try splashdown, that'll be it. A 1:18.27 with that timing coming in from Ymuy. Okay, so after I claim PB? Okay. Thank you. So hopefully in a tiny bit we can get both runners in this voice chat and I can ask them a couple questions. Oh, that's awesome. 2 BBs, 1 race. I know. Minus 32? Holy crap. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and even if one person kind of got screwed over at the end, it's more so a positive impact for both players because they are naturally improving. Yeah, that's a huge PB coming out from Isaia. I feel like, yeah, if we look at that 1:15:38, I think that was only 5 seconds off of Badomp's race time in that match. So it was yeah, 5 seconds off, and now he has like a 1:24 PB, and he's been running the game much longer, so definitely definitely a big improvement from both players. Commentate the auto. Yeah, but is there audio playing though? I'm not sure if there's audio playing. Yeah, it says use the game audio of whoever's ahead. Yeah, so it says both at the finish. I'm not sure if the game audio is still playing for Ymuy. Yeah, I think with Isaia, he said he was going to play out the auto scroller. But yeah, I keep kind of mentioning in post how this is a boss fight, but it's not a boss fight at all. It looks like a boss fight, but you're not fighting anything per se. It's basically you're given a set time of 3 minutes to detonate a bunch of these balloons or hyper bombs, and this is going to ink the entire statue and make it easier to destroy with the hero's weapon. So yeah, and then Isaia has a secondary timer in the background, so he can, I think, submit this to the leaderboard. So definitely a pretty 900 IQ play coming out from Isaia here. The song that plays during this is a pretty big banger, if I do say so myself. I probably should have announced this match so more people could watch, but I think the main TO who controls the schedule didn't get to approve my commentary slot, and he was asleep, so the speed giving guys had to approve me. I think I forgot because it was kind of last minute, so. Yeah, Isaia will be moving on, I think, to face Tones Malones, another top seed of this tournament. And then we're going to be going on to Aeon Frodo versus Jums later tonight at 8 PM EST, I think, Badompt. And Bluefish, old Splatoon 2 runner, will be commentating that, so don't go away. Yeah, as Badompt said, we're going to be trying to be restreaming as many of these tournament matches for you as possible. And that's another thing I forgot to mention. These races are best of one until losers finals, winners finals, grand finals-ish, just to keep the general pace of the tournament going and kind of keep it going in terms of efficiency. Because yeah, generally, even if you cut off the auto scroller, this is still a fairly like lawn-ish category. So I think both moves are definitely a smart play. The only way you can die here is if you jump too early, and then you like drift all the way to the edge of the map, which is like a kill zone. So if you touch the water, you start drowning, and then you have to restart. You can either skip the final boss if you want to, which isn't allowed here, or you can try it again. So and obviously you can take slightly different routes with this auto scroller, but generally everyone's routes are pretty similar. I think Isaia is going to tell me his PB. when he's done.
Yo.
I think Ymuy is focusing, so we'll just interview for now. Yeah, that was really surprising. Both of you were surprisingly neck and neck, only 1 to 2 stages apart going into Escape. Phase 5, actually, it was mostly your understanding of the route, and not necessarily choking in Phase 6, which kind of cemented your lead for the very end. How do you feel about that, and how confident were you going into this match? I know you've only started running recently. You learned this game for the 12-hour
I started
challenge.
running on Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, it's not even that far out. How confident were you going into this match? Because both your PVs were pretty similar. Right? Now it's very not similar, but what was the mindset?
I was pretty confident, because I've done pretty well playing this game in decently high level, like borderline X rank, and I've spent the entire week practicing.
Yeah, that damageless stage was an oof, though.
Oh, yeah.
Near the end, yeah. I think you kept forgetting there's, like, ink under your feet. You kept dying, like, near the end, which I think kind of evened the gap a tiny bit. You were still ahead, but it was just kind of a back and forth in the beginning.
Yeah, that was one of my most practiced stages as well.
Yeah, it's kind of the meme, the stages that you practice the most will always result in the worst effect. What was the final PV, by the way?
1:24:47.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I noticed with the race timing, your Agent 3 split was only like 5 seconds off of the Domps.
Wow, what's his PB? Well,
he submitted a new one recently. It's like a 1:24:16 or something.
Oh wow.
So yeah, pretty close. Yeah, but has only I think gone back into the game like kind of recently, so he's trying to de-rust. Go follow him on Twitch, by the way.
De-rusting with a PB, huh?
Yeah, super de-rusting. So yeah, I think Ymuy is just about finished. Sorry that wasn't commenting. I don't want to commentate another auto-scroller. Dying of boredom.
Also, that Matchmaster stage, the box
Matchmaster?
stage.
Yeah, I was surprised. Both of you did very different weapon choices, but it was still so close because both of you made mistakes in so many other places that Matchmaster didn't really matter.
Yeah, that Matchmaster was so sloppy. I missed so many singular boxes I didn't even realize.
Totally. Yeah, because you can like use rapid, but if like taking a bunch of extra shots is definitely like it's still faster than Squeezer, but it's very slow. Because the fastest route for that stage is like dependent on how many collaterals you can hit and how many extra shots you do. Yo, what's up, Ymuy?
Hey, Ymuy.
I forgot I muted my speakers because of the screaming.
Oh, that's just amazing. Yeah, might have to be another one. I'm on that one, Chief. Alright, so I want to ask you, Ymuy, so I don't know if you're watching the restream, but generally I think for most of the race, both of you were only 1 to 2 stages apart for the entire thing until Phase 5. When,
I kind of died around Phase 6.
Yeah, I don't think you knew necessarily the best route, and you're kind of flopping a bit, and then Isaiah kind of took that lead, and then you died 3 times in Phase 6. That was kind of also in respects. What were you feeling? What were you feeling during? Sorry, what were you feeling during Phase 6? Were you frustrated? Were you nervous? Or
Jesus Christ! Because I've been practicing and I kept dying to the bomb guy over and over again, the 5 times I think in practice, and I was like, oh my god, I don't want to practice this, but I'm gonna have to.
That was a PB for you too, as well, right?
Yeah, 1 hour 27 minutes. Which is, I think,
a PB by a minute. Oh, you got a 123. That's awesome.
I got 127.39.
Oh, 127.
So like,
yeah, that's still good though. Sub 130. Oh, it's been a goal of yours. I'll ask the same question that I asked Isaiah. Like, what was your mindset going into this set? How confident are you?
A little bit nervous because this is my very first tournament. I've never done a tournament before, so it was like, oh my god, I hope I don't suck. And I don't think I sucked that badly. Like, yeah, I just kind of sucked at the end. At phase 6. But,
yeah, I thought of my next question. So, well, actually, I won't ask Isaiah this because I already know. What got you into Octo Expansion, like speedrunning Octo Expansion Ymuy? Was it the casual playthrough? Was it watching a certain runner? Who was it?
The first time I saw a Splatoon speedrun was Tone Ballone's Splatoon 2 any % hero mode. I didn't get running it immediately, but I was like, oh, that's cool, you can speedrun this game.
What would you recommend... Sorry, what would you recommend for anyone trying to get into Octo Expansion? What advice would you give? Because anyone can do it. It's all about practice, right?
On your completed save file first. Like, try out the levels in your completed file first, because with that file you have like a bajillion credits that you can use up. So if you die a lot, then it doesn't really matter.
Oh yeah, totally. I agree. Watching other runs around your skill level is also really important. Like, this game isn't as expansive as Odyssey per se, where there's strats for like every single skill level and every stage. It's not as expansive as that, but it's definitely so important. Like, you know, knowing why you made a certain mistake instead of being super angry about it. Final question for the both of you: what is like your ultimate goal, at least for any %? Like, what would you just want to improve, or just get a certain goal time? What is that?
My goal currently is like 150.
Sorry, there was 2 people talking at once. Only one.
You go first.
Who goes first? Okay. Well, I passed my 130 goal, so that's like great. Maybe my next goal could be like 120. Hopefully I can get that in a reasonable time.
What about you, Isaiah? What's
I want to start getting a 115.
115? Yeah, 115 is definitely a goal. It's I think it's about, yeah, because the gap between T-Boy and Galata is fairly large. It's about 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes. So I think it's like top 10-ish. Yeah, I know. Me too. Yeah, me too. I think the audience enjoyed it as well. Yeah, I gotta make up better questions because I'm not used to this interview and stuff. I'm used to it.
It's fine.
Well,
yeah, interviewing is hard.
Yeah, it is hard. But yeah, thank you for the race, guys. Hopefully this gives you more motivation to do better in the tournament. Because yeah, all it takes is, you know, certain amounts of game knowledge to kind of, you know, tilt the favor there. It's kind of similar.
They need to practice phase 6.
Yeah, because a similar thing happened between Brandon and Badamp. Is that, yeah, Brandon has a much worse PV than Badamp, but like he was playing pretty decently until Escape happened.
Yeah, the thing is that in phase 5, I'm usually alright on that because I usually make the cycle when it turns around, but that time I screwed up too much and I didn't make it. I was like,
yeah, that's really important. And if you don't know the backup strat, that's another thing. Knowing backup strats and like knowing what they are and like recognizing, oh, I can do this if I fail X strat or whatever.
I don't have like any backup. I should probably make some.
Also, if anyone doesn't know, to practice Escape, you have to like death abuse to the phase. You can't select the phase that you want. It's kind of tedious. So practicing Escape can be kind of. It's kind of like practicing Pillars and Odyssey, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's another reason why you should play on your completed save file, because you can just redo your phase.
Yeah, you can remember the escape sequence and kind of go through that entire thing again. Yeah, thank you guys for that race. It was very fun to watch. GG's.
And thank you for the commentary. I'm going to rewatch it ASAP.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I try to be constructive as well as entertaining, but yeah, if anyone has any questions about this game, just ask me, because I definitely know a decent amount. I think that'll be the end of that. Thank you everyone for watching. Again, tune in to twitch.tv/speedgaming2, where you'll have Aeon Frodo versus Jums, the God Gamer. And Badump and Boofish will be commentating. I will see you until then. Bye.
I should probably end my stream as well.